Are you going places or left behind because you don't have a travel companion? Listen to how you can travel more independently. Dr. Travelbest will bring you the best answers, tips, and hear mistakes so you can benefit.
Welcome to Dr. Mary Travelbest's Independent Travel Guide. This is for women who travel, who want to travel, and especially for those who want to travel independently. What's on your bucket list? You can tell me your dreams, your wishes, and your travel fantasies of where you want to travel, and I'll help you get there. I'm going to respond to your travel questions as well as share my mistakes and missteps in travel because I've made just about every mistake you don't have to. I wrote and published the best-selling and famous book, CD, and website, The World's First Guide to Independent Travel. And since 1993, I've been running a marketing business, raising 4 children with my husband, and been a university professor while traveling. My travel experiences are helpful to others like you. I want to share them so you make your trip the very best, like Travelbest. In this episode, I'll talk about the FAQ, advice about political views while traveling. Should you be outspoken or not? I'll talk about the destination of Boston. I'll talk about my mistake. And I'll also give you some advice. So here's the FAQ. What is your advice in terms of talking about your political views while traveling in other countries? Should I be outspoken or shy away from expressing my politics? I'm going to give you my very personal opinion, and this is something that is just for me. I don't know if it's going to work for you, but my advice is to kind of keep it quiet. And this is because you are a guest, so act like one. I think you should be respectful when you're traveling. And you can disagree with the policies in your country or even in the country that you're visiting, but it's really not your place to bring your culture to them. I think traveling is about experiencing their culture. I may not always get this right, but that's what I think is the best practice. And thanks for asking. Now, some examples. If you are asked about the U.S. politics, you can answer that, but maybe just stick to the facts that you do know. An example of what happened to me in China was I was asked my opinions, and this is going back, I was asked my opinions of President then Reagan. And the people there, they had a very limited view of the news. They didn't have all the voices. So I was able to talk about what I thought, but I didn't try to convince them that my opinion was the best. So choose how you want to act, but try to think about the respect that you would want if someone was visiting your country. The golden rule goes far. Now let's talk about Boston as an independent destination. So what's so special about Boston? I think it's a great walking city. I remember going miles and miles of just walking. Of course, the subways are easy to get around in the city. They're very, very fast, so you can cover a lot of ground. I didn't really like driving around too much. The people seem very real, and they do have an accent. That's kind of what you can expect. They're so full of life. I think the best time to visit Boston is in the fall, and fall colors are great. So if you are there during fall colors, be sure that you know where you're going to stay. I remember driving around for a long time trying to find a place and not getting too much because everything was full. Summers in Cape Cod, beautiful. It can get really cold in the winter, and in the springtime, you're back to being green, but it could snow sometime. My daughter went to college at Boston University, and I do remember this fun fact that 1 out of every 5 people in Boston is in college. It's really all about education. Of course, the Red Sox are there, winning lots of their sports in the last few years. You can always go to Cambridge, which I thought was really interesting to go see Harvard and MIT. Rowing is a big thing in Boston, and you will get a historical perspective that you won't get in other cities. And by the way, the seafood there is excellent. One thing that I remember about Boston is that I would have been at the Boston Marathon where we had the explosion, the terrorism bomb. I had my plans changed that morning. It was a tragic day. I was driving in from New York, and I stayed longer than I expected. So I was driving back to Boston, and I was in the state of Massachusetts through almost the entire coverage. And it was such a tragic memory for the great people of the city. I flew back to San Diego that night. I've never been on a more quiet 4-hour flight. It was almost silent on the plane from Boston back to San Diego. Those people suffered through a lot. Very sad memory. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a mistake I made in traveling when I was in high school. And I'm really embarrassed about this. I haven't really told too many people about this, but I spoke badly to the TSA back when I was in high school. And I was warned. And I was scared. And since then, I've never done anything like that. I made some bad judgments when I was in the security line at the Denver airport in Colorado. No one got hurt, but I was really immature. So if you are listening to this, just be careful what you do when you're going through any security situation, and don't do what I did. I remember a few years later, I was in my late 40s, and I was going through the Atlanta airport. I remember having to remove my belt, which was kind of new back then. And it was a cotton belt, but I still had to remove it. And I did. And at the time I had a baby and 3 toddlers with me, but I was respectful and I did that. I had nobody to help me, but because, that was the rule, I figured out how to take care of the kids and get through and take my belt off, and I followed it. But always be respectful of the TSA. Now, today's travel advice. This is about researching your trip. So how do you look to the internet to help you get your trip researched? One of the things you can do is think about the trip. Where are you going to go just for the first day? You could look at the map. You can make a list of your favorite places to see, to learn, to eat, and just imagine yourself in that destination. So even if you have just one day planned out, that could be all that you need to do. You might want to make a list of other things to do down the road. What sites should you look at to find those? Well, you can go to TripAdvisor, you can go to Airbnb, you can go to Expedia, you can go to the search information of the city or the tourist office, or you could also think of people you know and contact someone from the city you want to visit, if you can. Now, I've been doing some academic research on how mobile phones are used to gather information for travel. And there really are only 2 major companies. One is Expedia and one is Booking, which used to be called Priceline. You really don't have much choice when it comes to booking your airfare and hotel and car if you're trying to shop around. So just know that ahead of time. Southwest Airlines is not included in Expedia or Booking. So you might want to look there first and shop around and find out what's best for you. So today, I want to bring meaning to your travel. Thank you for sharing this edition of the world's first guide to independent travel with Dr. Mary Travelbest. Share it with your girlfriends. If you want to know more, just search for Dr. Mary Travelbest. You'll find me on the web, on social media, and in audio formats. Helping women travel best is my goal. So please send me your travel questions so I can help you and help others too. I'm looking for you to travel best. So go ahead and let me know what's on your bucket list.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.